Before we begin this part proper, I have to address a major travesty. I stopped the recording last time before the achievement popped up for finishing the prologue. Said achievement's title is amazing, so I'll just show it on screen now. Yes, the achievements for completing every chapter are named after a line of dialogue from said chapter, so look forward to some pretty good ones later. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Now, let's get back to our main attraction. Chapter 1. The Disappearance of the Linda from the 5-star summoning pool. Sorry. I had to make that reference. Yeah, I really don't envy Ridge right now. But obviously, searching for one of our top braces takes priority. He's gonna get overtime for this, right? Well, I mean, with bracer jobs, they pay per job, so I guess there's no real need for overtime. The more jobs you do, the more pay you get. Huh, she's still at work. Interesting. And it's something that they can't hear. Well, that only piques my curiosity. So, we're finally going to get some information on something that's only been hinted at for a little bit. Remember how apprehensive Estelle seemed if you go to the clock tower earlier? We're finally going to find out why. Erected in partnership with the Laberle royal family, Septian Church, and Rolent City. Destroyed during the 100 Days War when Rolent was bombarded by the Erebonian Imperial Army. Rebuilt with the cooperation of the citizens of Rolent. And so it's backstory time. Man, that's such a great way to begin this journey proper. Oh, you were watching, weren't you? Maybe not exactly that. A bit of backstory on Sheath here. Gee, I could not have realized that from her outfit at all. You know, I was about to say she can't give anyone any extra turns, but the funny thing is that, she does have a craft later on that does something similar. Okay, so from this we can actually calculate Sheath's age now. If she was 11 when Estelle was 4, that puts her at 7 years older than Estelle, and if Estelle is 16, that would mean... No, that means that Sheath is only 23. Of course, I could have just calculated that by adding 12 to 11. Of course, I took the roundabout method. So yeah, all the way back to where we had that soldier training quest earlier in the game. If you've made an effort to explore and do side quests, you'll probably know where to go already. And yeah, now we have control. I guess I'll talk more about that scene later, because for now, we have 3 things that we desperately need to take care of before leaving Rolent. But before that, I might want to just go ahead and say goodbye to some of the NPCs here that we've got to know over the course of the prologue, because when we leave Rolent, we're actually never going to be coming back for the rest of the entire game. And he's being tsundere again. And once again, tsundere. Hey, it's the couple who got together on our first day as braces. So they're gonna go to the Queen's birthday celebration together. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't say goodbye to Claire. Yeah, Rolent now only has Ridge to look after it, so I'm kinda worried. Well, I mean, she's great at getting information, but I don't want to have to protect you from monsters all the time. Huh, she actually gets worried about things too. One thing that I do want to show before leaving as well is if we head up here and into this room... Yep, Mine Chief Gaton lives here and he's finally back. Yeah, good to know the mines are safe again. And yeah, he has a family back here. Unfortunately, he's away from them very often. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't talk to one of my favourite NPCs in this town. Yeah, she'd probably freak out given how well she knows the family. And Estelle's really saying my thoughts for me. I was expecting something a little more interesting there, but, well, how's your search for your son's bride going? Why do I get the feeling that I knew you'd say something like that? Well, you can't fly right now, but I guess we'll probably have to take care of that too. By the way, it is actually pronounced BOS. I've looked at the Japanese katakana. It's actually not too far from a gameplay perspective, even if it is supposed to be half a day from the perspective of the story. Some people have pointed out that the scaling on the map is a little bit weird, especially with where Perzel Farm is in relation to everything else. If deliveries from there only don't take that long to get to town. But anyway, there is actually a reason why I came here, and that is they're now selling Le Burle News Issue 2. You can pick this up later, but I want to take care of that now. And I might as well show reading this on camera. Breaking story, disappearance of the Linda. Gone without a trace, where could it be? Yesterday afternoon, the airliner Linda vanished over East Bow's airspace while en route to Rolent. An exhaustive overnight search conducted by the Royal Army yielded no clues to its whereabouts, leaving all parties baffled. In response to this incident, the Army has declared all airliner flights cancelled until further notice. Fate of Linda passengers unknown. The Le Burle Orbital Ship Corporation reports that 17 were aboard the Linda at the time of its departure, including both passengers and crew. Family members of those missing persons are understandably concerned, but remain hopeful. Possibility of accident is low, says experts. Central Factory Chief Murdoch proclaims, "Our orbital engines are sturdy and reliable. The chance of an engine failure is virtually nil. I do not believe an accident to have occurred." Rumours and theories abound. Was it a conspiracy perpetrated by the Royal Army and the covert mercenary force comprised of Jaegers? Perhaps it was a plot to kidnap the passengers and hold them for ransom. Some have even suggested the Linda came under attack by the last living ancient dragon. No matter what anyone may have heard, it's all just speculation at this point, as no real evidence has been found. The Royal Army is investigating a possible connection between this incident and the recent burglaries in BOS, but thus far no information on any such connection has been released. In fact, no information has been released at all due to Army regulations prohibiting the dissemination of intelligence to the general public, a policy that I'm sure we'd all like to see repealed. Society, crystals stolen in daring robbery. Hey, we were there for this. A group of unknown individuals recently broke into Roland Mayor's house to steal a septium crystal that was left in his possession. Local bracers came to the rescue and managed to recover the stolen item, but the culprits are still at large. Thankfully, no harm came to the mayor or his family during this incident. We deeply regret that the criminals escaped, says a Roland Bracer representative, but please know that we of the Bracer Guild did everything in our power to apprehend them and will continue the pursuit for however long it may take. I wonder if that was Shera who gave that statement. Culture, touring ancient sites, the Rolent region, and the Esmelas Tower. The Esmelas Tower lies a few hundred cells to the north of Rolent City, along the Malga Trail. Its turquoise-green visage is the only real landmark for as far as the eye can see. Counting as one of the 4 tetracyclic towers, its purpose is still shrouded in mystery to this day. This exciting location is as old as Le Burle itself, and modern research utilizing the latest orbital technology is expected to answer a few questions about this eerie structure, while posing still others. We've already been there, so there's really not that much to that place that we haven't seen. Or is there? So anyway, that's the first thing that I wanted to take care of before leaving here. The second thing is to head to the Roland Bracer Guild and check the bulletin board, because they are a complete troll. There is a new quest available, and if we don't talk to Father Divine before leaving Roland, this quest is lost to us forever. So yes, check the bulletin board before you go. The third thing that I want to do before leaving Roland is to head to the bar, because they're actually selling a new food item. Also, this guy is usually maintaining the clock tower. That was probably the Sky Bandit's airship. Anyway, Yeah, they're now selling Milk Crepe, which apparently is a bit of a mistranslation. It's worse than Flowery Soda and costs twice as much. But, so yeah, I'm just gonna buy one of it, and maybe just eat it now, just to get the recipe out of the way. Considering it's worse than Flowery Soda, really the only reason to get this is to get the recipe for your log and for the achievement. Gonna get 2 more Flowery Sodas, but I'm gonna save a little bit of money for BOS, because there's a lot to buy in BOS, actually. Both food and other items. And there's a reason why there's a lot to buy there. Oh, no comments on thank Adio Shera is leaving town for a while. I was kind of expecting something like that. We might as well say goodbye to Mayor Klaus as well. Well, they had an airship with guns on it, so kind of understandable. Yeah, that is definitely true. It's kind of interesting how the term Sky Pirates has sort of, you know, romantic, almost heroic connotations to it, like, you know, with, what was that game called again? Skies of Arcadia, as well as Balthier from Final Fantasy XII, while Sky Bandit has a very different ring to it. Okay, good to know. I'm actually really looking forward to meeting the Mayor of BOS. They're a very interesting character. Probably one of my favorite minor NPCs in this game. But, yeah, with that all done, I think that's pretty much all for us that we can do in Rolent. Oh, I'm 2 times Seepeth off getting cast 1. But I can grab Impede 1 for the collection. I could get EP1 too, but oh, I really want Cast 1. Yeah, there'll be plenty of time to grab EP1 later on in the game. And with that, that's pretty much all we can do in Rolent, so time to say goodbye to this place, actually forever for this game. And there's no real reason to show off the Milch Main Road again, there's nothing really new for us there, so I'll cut straight to Vert Bridge. Now, before we go... So yeah, before you leave, you want to make sure to talk to Private Harold. And with that we get Carnelia Chapter 2. Yeah, that's probably because of the flights. Well, I guess that means we get to talk to Luke's dad again. Well, I guess he has a right to know. And so, we're getting the setup for the major premise of Chapter 1. There's gonna be a bit of friction between the army and Braces. Remember how I said before that not everyone is a fan of Braces due to them being essentially mercenaries who operate outside of the government. So, once we show this guy the pass and head through this gate, we are basically stuck in BOS for the entirety of Chapter 1 and won't be able to go back to this region. But before you do that, you still have full access to most of the locations. So, before you cross the border, make sure that you have got all of the chests in the sewers, Esmelis Tower, Milchmain Road, Malga Trail, and the Mistwald. Right now we have 16 treasure chests, and that is the maximum in the prologue. Also, in terms of weapons and armor, and this is important since most places later in the game won't sell this stuff, not including the stuff that you start with, you should have bought Pile Rod, the Tin Staff, which is in a chest in the tower, Kunai, Armor Vest, and High Jumpsuit, which is in a chest in the Mistwald. You should also have Carnelia Chapters 1 and 2, as well as the Liberl News 1 and 2. You can get Liberl News 2 later, so that's not entirely a priority, but just bear that in mind. You can have both of them now. Additionally, you should have these recipes if you've been finding all of the ones that you can. Now, most recipes in this game, you can actually buy them in other locations. For example, the vegetable sandwich, you can actually, there are many other locations you can buy that from, same with the milk crepe. But the ones that you are really concerned with, if you're going for all of the recipes for the trophy, are the sit-down meals. Sit-down meals are generally exclusive to one particular restaurant, so you want to make sure that you have every region's sit-down meals before you leave it. So, I think I've got everything, just in case I'm going to make a separate save here. Thank you, save slots! I knew I was forgetting something! You should have heard the resounding thwack that my palm made upon hitting my face when I realized this. So I actually went and recorded the entire trip over to BOS, and then I realized that I had forgotten to pick up this side quest, just like I said not to forget about this side quest. So yeah, this side quest is a real jerk, and it is easy to miss it even if you go out of your way to point out how you shouldn't miss it. So there we go, we get Father Divine's letter. So yeah, this quest is really simple. All you need to do is give this to the priest at the chapel in BOS. The toughest part of this quest is remembering it exists. I'll see you back at the gate. Okay, now we're really ready to cross the border. Completely unrelated, but whenever I hear that expression, I think of two things. The line from Light the Fire Up in the Night, and, I think it's a line from a song from Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Kind of funny, because nobody in their right mind thought that game would ever get localized, and it actually did come across the border. So yes, dramatic gate opening. I can fully understand why they all tighten security, since, you know... Well, to them, the only way the criminals can potentially escape Roland is through the gates on foot. However, they don't realize that they have an airship and they can just fly over even though all mainstream flights are grounded. So, yeah. Turns out... the one thing that can get past this highly tightened security just happens to be the one thing that they need to stop. Okay, that's good to know. So, the soldiers stationed on the other side of this gate aren't quite as friendly to Estelle and Joshua as the ones back on the Rolent side. So, here's the funny thing, this area here serves no purpose at all, but it's just kind of a nice bit of attention to detail if they actually let you go in there. But the main thing I want to point out is this heal point right here. This is actually one of the only free heal points in Chapter 1, and it's not nearly as convenient to get to as the one in Roland, so if you want free healing in this chapter, you have to trek all the way back here. And Trek is right, because it's actually a little while to BOS from here. Speaking of which, let's head on... the East BOS Highway. So there are a few new enemies here, but no chests at all. While I'm here though, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Eagle Eye on Estelle just so I can show this off, because, yeah, we can now see enemies as red dots on the world map. Or, well, the mini-map rather. So we have a new enemy here. This is a Mad Roper, which sounds like a D&D thing. Mad Ropers, as their description says, they can divide. They are also 50% weak to fire and wind, so yeah, we have a lot of characters who can abuse those weaknesses. I'm not sure if in fact we probably will end up seeing it split here because we didn't get a preemptive. This thing actually, that yellow circle on it there, that's actually an eye, so you can kind of tell when to get preemptive on these things. Let's see. Yeah, there we go, it divided. Now, since it divided, I want to show something about this. So one of them is dead, and it dropped Sheath. They also have less HP when they divide, but the second copy did not drop Sheath, only the original body does. So, no waiting for those to infinitely divide and then grinding them, like you can do with the Bambinos in Persona 4. There's a new enemy here, though, the Mushroom Snake. Kind of a cool/weird concept for a creature, now that I think about it. They drop Time Sheath. I really want that. They're also weak to water and can poison you. Since there are multiple enemies in this fight, I'm going to go for Aerial here. Shera has a pretty good supply of AP. I don't need to worry too much about being stingy with that right now. Oh, we get a 10% strength turn, too. Yeah, something to mention about that is that strength, for those 10% strength turns, I mentioned this before, but it applies to both physical and magical attacks. It's not actually a strength buff, I think it's sort of like just a straight up buff to the power of the attack.
We're good to go.
But I'm not 100% sure on most of the mechanics of these games because, yeah, there's actually not a lot of good resources out about these games, and the majority of the good resources on them are in Chinese. The Trails series is really popular in China for some reason. But anyway, we have the Halo mole here, a mole that has elite uber hackers skills at first-person shooter games, I'm so sorry. These things are very physically resilient. So yeah, you probably want to take them on with art, which is really what you want to use against most enemies in this game. But there are a few enemies that art is pretty bad against. Flakey Potato, I don't know why you are holding a potato. So if we spin the camera around here, not marked on our map is this thing. This is actually a side quest monster, and I didn't realize that you could fight it now. We'll be seeing the posting for it on the bulletin board in BOS. But you can fight it now, but it's actually not recommended that you do so because let's just say we'll be getting a new party member relatively soon, and I want to be fighting that thing with them in tow. It's not that hard of a fight overall, but it's a little easier if you have a new party member with you. So, anyway, I wanted to show here because if we go up here, this leads to an area called Nebel Valley. This area is a lot like the Mistwald in a few ways. One, there's no map, and two, the enemies here are pretty tough for this point in the game. I'm not going to come here just yet. We will be coming here for side quests later anyway. It is mostly a side area that you don't really need to go to for the main story, but like I said, I'll be showing it a bit later anyway for side stuff. So, still be coming back there later anyway in this series. I don't really feel the need to go there now. On my test playthrough on Nightmare, I'd forgotten how strong the enemies there were, and I went there early and greatly regretted it. Do not make my mistake. I like how most enemies have a different sprite when they're inflicted with fate. Anyway, I'm going to be cutting out most battles against enemies that I've seen before, like in most RPGs that I cover, but I do want to go out of my way to fight as much as possible because I do want a lot of secrets. I'm going to need to open up all the slots on all the characters, as well as synthesize a lot of chords. Nothing else to do in this area, so let's press on. And very soon when we enter this area, we'll actually see a cutscene, so I was going to originally talk about something in the story, but I'll leave talking about that until after that scene. So, here we are. Haulage vehicles making its way across the road, along with a character who has a unique sprite. This is Grant, and he has a portrait, so obviously he's sort of important. A lot of people think that Grant's design is based off of the protagonist of Falcom's other famous series, Is. That would be Adol or Adol. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, since I haven't actually played any of those games. I do need to at some point. They're action RPGs that all start the same protagonist. But yeah, a lot of people think this guy's appearance is based on him. But yeah, nice bit of world building here. The fact that all the flights are down means that the Braces have to help hauling this cargo on foot. I love the way that that kind of hovering vehicle is animated. Yep, you read our minds. Legrand is our equivalent of Ina for this chapter. He is the head of the BOS branch. We'll be seeing him more relatively soon. And there it goes. Just like Estelle says here, something is up, but we don't have the full details just yet. So, let's move on. And like I said, I want to talk a little bit more about a few plot details. Firstly, I really like how that flashback establishes Estelle's mother's personality so well, despite the fact that we never even got to see her in the game. That's something that TV tropes would refer to as a posthumous character. A character who's deceased before the story begins officially, but still gets characterization via flashbacks. And I feel like they didn't say much about her in that scene, but they really didn't need to. You just get such a great sense of the kind of person she was just from that alone. Also, I love the use of that music, the same music that plays on the title screen, which I believe is just called Trails in the Sky. I could be wrong about that. That song is not only kind of the main theme of the Sky games, but I associate it with the Bright family in general. It does often play when Cassius or Estelle and Joshua are having a heartfelt conversation. And level up for both Estelle and Joshua. Sadly, no additional crafts from that. There's not much else here, but I kind of want to fight everything I can. Did I say before that there are no chests on this road? Because, yeah, there are no chests on this road. Just to point that out. Also, so I didn't talk about it at the time so as not to ruin the atmosphere, I love the intro scene to this chapter where you're led to believe that Estelle is in her room moping, but no, she's actually packing for the adventure. It's just really cool. I love Estelle's optimistic, go-getter attitude that she never loses even in times like this. Okay, how are we doing in terms of CP? Okay, I only have one S-Craft, which is probably all I need. There's something that shows up a little later down the road that I'm going to want to fight here. Yeah, that can be a problem. That's something that, because poison damages you per action, if you use an S-break, you'll still take damage from poison. So you'll definitely need to watch out for that. Right, Shera's EP is way lower than I would like it to be at this point, because this thing here, this thing is actually not a big monster, even though it looks like it. This is a wisdom, and I kind of want to try and fight one of these now, even though that might not be entirely, well, no pun intended, wise. Okay, I actually got a preemptive for some reason. This is another case where the monster doesn't really have a head, so it's hard to tell when you're getting a preemptive or not. 20% weak to fire. This thing is a floating monster from the BOS region. It uses powerful art. Specifically, it can use the art Shadow Spear, which has a 20% chance of instant death. I actually kind of want to break out Hellgate for this. Hellgate's pretty useful, even against single... Actually, I probably should have planned that out better. Maybe I should have had Joshua save his turn for now so he could S-break here and get the critical, but oh well. But yeah, as I was saying, Hellgate's very powerful, so it's useful even against single enemies. This thing can also drain your HP, and it's pretty durable, so yeah. Quite a powerful enemy for this point in the game, and it seems to be immune to feint as well. Okay, nothing there. You might notice here, yeah, it takes barely any damage from your basic attacks, and I think that's actually just because at this point our weapons are a little weak. I'm going to be upgrading my stuff once I get into BOS, but yeah, there's absorbed nutrients, and yeah, if you don't see like a tendril coming out and hitting you, you know the attack's actually missed, so that was incredibly lucky there. because it drains over 100 HP in a single hit. These things will quickly replenish themselves if you don't pile on the damage, as you might be seeing here. Yeah, there's absorbed nutrients, and yeah, like I said, they will quickly replenish themselves. And there's really not much that Sheath can do with her turn. This could be kind of bad, actually. Okay, I'm actually going to go for Joshua's S-Craft here. Because I think we do about 160 to this thing with S-Crafts. Oh, good, just barely enough to kill it. Nice. Okay, no treasure chest drop, that's a shame. So the main reason why I actually fought that thing is because they can sometimes drop HP 2 quartz, which is a pretty good quartz for this early in the game. It gives you access to some decent arts and, well, it increases your HP by quite a bit too. It's not the end of the world if you don't get one of those dropped, and yeah, I don't think this is worth it. With Sheath having no EP. Like I said, it's not the end of the world if you don't get one of those dropped now. It's not like now's your only chance to get that quartz. You can quite easily get that quartz later in the game. We'll be able to synthesize it. But, yeah, if you do get one drop now, it can be useful. You probably want to try and pick up at least one during Chapter 1. Anyway, this leads to Hucken Gate, the very place we were told not to go. So let's go there. Estelle, just don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't. That would be a really bad idea. So, we can't go that way. Unfortunately, the old Jack Sparrow, I'm terribly sorry I didn't know. If I see one, I will inform you immediately. Response to being told an area is off limits to civilians didn't work out for them in this case. But, yeah, can't go that way, but obviously that's where all the investigation's going on, so this is a problem for us. But right through there is the city of BOS, and I think we've done enough in this part, so I'm gonna go ahead and end here, now that I've actually accepted that quest. Yeah, here's Letter Carrier, just to make sure. So, I'll see you next time when we enter the city of BOS.